Moving on, lately, overseas Khalistani movements have been garnering headlines for their aggressive posturing against India, even culminating in that attack on the Indian embassy in London a few months ago. India, of course, has impressed upon governments in US, UK, Canada and Australia to not just be wary of these movements on their land, but also help them in catching culprits, many of them wanted in India. What has also caught headlines now is that many of these K terrorists are either being arrested or are getting killed in their respective countries, some in gang actions. The latest being Hardeep Singh Nijjar, who was shot dead at Guru Nanak Singh Gurdwara in the Punjabi-dominated Surrey city in British Columbia province in Canada on Sunday. Take a look at how many K-Force members have either been killed or have been jailed in different actions. The biggest name, as I mentioned, is Hardeep Singh Nijjar, chief of Khalistani Tiger Force, who was shot dead in Surrey in Canada on June 18. He had a bounty of 10 lakh rupees by the NIA. That just gives you an indication of how wanted he was in India. Before that, in a curious case, Avtar Singh Khanda, implicated in the attack on Indian embassy in London, died allegedly due to blood cancer. He was also alleged to have trained Punjab de Waris chief Amritpal Singh. Before that, on May 6, head of Khalistan Commando Force, Paramjeet Singh Panjwar, was shot dead by two assailants in Lahore in Pakistan. He was the most wanted criminal in India, accused of drug and weapons smuggling. This was all following, of course, India's own crackdown on Amritpal Singh, face of the K-Force in India and chief of Waris-e-Punjab, accused of pushing separatist tendency in the country. And finally, Baltej Singh, nephew of Satwant Singh, killer of Indira Gandhi, who was based in New Zealand, he was arrested in Auckland on drug-related charges. This is happening at a time when India and its agencies are also pushing an all-out crackdown in India and overseas against the K-gang. In a crackdown upon Khalistani groups, 3 cases in the incidents of attack on Indian high commissions and consulates based in London, Ottawa and San Francisco have been registered. This is the first time that India has invoked extraterritorial jurisdiction for investigating offences committed on foreign soil. NIA has also resorted to crowdsourcing for getting information about the accused persons. Several cases have been registered against Khalistani terrorist organizations and groups. But what is also important is that many active Khalistani operatives based abroad have been listed as individual terrorists. Accused persons based abroad are being also declared as proclaimed offenders, and judicial courts are being moved for attachment and confiscation of their properties. Many court-wanted absconders are either being deported or extradited to India due to persistent follow-up with the concerned authorities. Bikramjeet Singh, the mastermind of the Taran Taran bomb blast, was successfully extradited from Austria in December 2022. Meanwhile, propaganda by various terrorist groups, especially pro-Khalistani elements, is also being handled effectively by getting anti-national URLs blocked by Ministry of Information Technology. What we're discussing up next is, with so many of these individuals either dying, getting killed or being arrested, is it now finally endgame for K4? First, I want to go across to my colleague Siddhant Mishra, who's been tracking this very closely. Siddhant, give me a sense of how the Indian agencies are looking, because surely a lot of these individuals being neutralized in whatever is happening must be a blow to the international ring of the K-gang.
Well, that's right, Shivani. So absolutely, the numbers that you have put out, with regards to the killings that have taken place, or maybe a Khalistani member dying in London because of the prolonged illness. Then obviously, other member, the nephew of Balwant, the nephew of the killers of Indira Gandhi, were caught in narco case in Auckland. So now, Shivani, these people are involved in narco-terrorism. They are also related to lot of terrorist activities. And Shivani, there is a lot of infighting within these groups, because these groups are mushrooming with each passing year perhaps, and countries like Canada are sort of endorsing these groups and perhaps not taking action, because the Prime Minister like Justin Trudeau, his government is dependent on the support of the party which supports the Khalistani groups, and perhaps Canada has become a den for all these K group members. The groups are mushrooming, the members are mushrooming, and also, Shivani, the gangsters like Goldie Brar, who are conspiring to kill people in India, are also sitting very comfortably in Canada, and likes of him are operating freely from Canada on the name of free speech, on the name of democracy. So there is a lot of infighting. Also, Shivani, last 1 year we have seen aggressive campaign. Why? Because of the Amritpal. So when there is aggressive campaign, there is also excess flow of money to these organizations. There is more fundraising, and when there is more fundraising, there is more infighting.
Okay.
And that is the reason that the people like Nijjar are getting killed because of their own animosities, their own rivalry within their own people, and why we have seen that on that particular day when we ran that story, that how Hindustan Murdabad Nara slogans were raised at the crime scene, because when you speak against Hindustan, you get legitimized. Your entire movement get legitimized. So when they say Hindustan Murdabad, so they get more money, they get more funding.
But clearly something is not right as far as these groups are concerned. And we'll wait and see, how the Indian agencies also react. Siddhant, I appreciate you joining us. Let's also take this to our special guest joining us. Terry Milewski is author, Blood for Blood, 50 Years of the Global Khalistan Project, based in Canada, watches this movement very closely. Terry, I want to understand from you first up, how do you look at the killing of Nijjar in Canada?
Well, there is a storm of frantic tweets from what you might call Khalistani Twitter to the effect that this is obviously case closed. This is Indian government hit. It's an extrajudicial killing. The government of Narendra Modi is out with secret gunmen picking off Khalistani leaders overseas. Can't you see it's happening everywhere? Well, here's the problem. As I see it, this is much more likely. We don't have a lot of facts yet, and I'm going to speculate a little bit. But this theory is not entirely uninformed. My theory is that this is more likely to be a grubby little gangland squabble between rival gangsters in British Columbia. It's not, to my way of thinking, it is not a clash of titans, men of history, revolutionaries, liberators of their people on their way to founding a new nation called Khalistan, who have been terribly rubbed out, eliminated by the state of India. Rather, there was quite a long trail of disputes between Ripudaman Singh Malik, the financier of the Baba Khalsa, the financier of the group, in other words, which organized the bombing of the Kanishka, the Air India Flight 182 in 1985, and Nijjar himself, who has been accused of many crimes.
Yes.
But I remind your audience that so far, Canada has not seen an extradition request, certainly not to my knowledge, from India, which suggests to me that there's a lot of talk about all the terrible things Nijjar was guilty of, but we haven't seen them actually try to extradite him, because I suppose they would have done that if they had absolutely concrete evidence that would persuade the Canadian courts, yep, they've got good evidence, let this guy be shipped back to India for trial.
I understand that, but that brings me to my next question. It was never going to be easy to try these individuals because they operate outside of Indian jurisdiction. But what is it that is happening within Canada? I want to understand from you, because the sentiment here is, and recently External Affairs Minister was on record to say that Canada is sheltering such elements. That Indira Gandhi assassination tableau was paraded on the streets of Brampton. Is there a rethink of how dangerous these Khalistani elements are for Canada itself?
Well, I think in the wake of the objections of the Indian Foreign Minister and many others in India and elsewhere around the world, that Canada is starting to get the idea, very late, I will agree with you, that maybe they should pay closer attention. I mean, this tableau that you described on a parade float in Brampton, Martyrs' Day, this surprised a lot of people because they've been bold. They've been getting a little bolder. Now they're really getting bold, and to celebrate the assassination of a democratically elected prime minister in the streets of a major Canadian city, that goes beyond what has happened before, and there's been considerable blowback. But I just want to emphasize that it's good to talk about these things. It's good to make the Trudeau government in Canada more aware, if they aren't aware enough already, of the dangers of letting these people get away with this kind of stuff. But there is also a backdrop, as I say, of grubby little local squabbles between gangsters. There was a serious dispute over the last few years between Malik, before he was murdered last year in July, the middle of July, over the printing of the Sikh holy book, the Guru Granth Sahib. And that it was a very arcane dispute. I won't bore you with the details, but fundamentally, without the permission of the Sikh religious authorities in Amritsar, the SGBC, you're not supposed to be printing the book. Only they can license it. So they've got control of the money, right? The profits from printing that book. And Malik went ahead and did it on his own anyway. There was hell to pay. And there was a dispute with Nijjar at the Guru Nanak temple and Malik. And they were at daggers drawn at one point. And Malik is said to have declared at one point before he was killed that Nijjar was a threat to his life. So Nijjar naturally became one of the suspects. Nothing came of it. One of the suspects in the hit on Malik. And so immediately when Nijjar was killed, the suspicion shifted. Well, maybe it's somebody from Malik's camp who is guilty of this. Yeah. And that, I must say, is now the principal theory ahead of the theory that
Indian agencies are behind
the militants. The militants in Canada are running riot.
Yeah, I understand. I have only about 30-40 seconds left, Terry. I want to understand from you, globally speaking, what do you make of the Khalistani movement as it stands today? Is it losing steam? Because I just read out a couple of minutes before you joined about how India is also stepping up its crackdown globally on them. But even if you leave that aside, do you think the movement is going to lose steam, if not immediately, then soon?
Yes, I do. I think you're short of time. I'll put this quickly. The Khalistan movement is running out of time. The old guard is getting old, and the new guard, they're involved in organized crime. They're going the wrong way about starting a new nation and attracting new followers. And the fatal mistake they've made is by worshipping and glorifying the mass murdering terrorists like Dawunda Parmar, the Air India bomber, and treating them as heroes. That's not how you're going to gather new followers. And I think it's a fatal error. I think the Khalistan movement is dying out, but we are seeing its death throes right now, and it's not pretty to watch.
All right. Terry Miliuski, thanks a lot for bringing us your perspective. Always a pleasure to have you on CNN News 18.
Thank you.
With that, we're slipping into a very short break. On the other side, we will get you the latest in the build-up to the Prime Minister's visit to US. The state visit that everyone's talking about. The mega coverage continues on CNN News 18.